sea, which he dried up before us until we were gone over, that all the people of the earth might know the hand of the Lord, that it is mighty, that ye might fear the Lord your God forever. God knew that these people would be what he had done for them. He had worked miracles for them, even just 40 years prior, the parting of the Red Sea and then now the Jordan River. And he knew that these people would need some sort of a memorial, some sort of a recognition to remind them of what God did. And so he instructs Joshua here, grab these stones and make this memorial and build this place that will be serving as a reminder, as a remembrance of what God did. Can I say this morning, just by the way of a couple of drawings out from this passage, remembering God's faithfulness ignites our faith. God knew that these people, as they went to this new land to conquer all this land in this area, they would need to be reminded of what God had done. Their faith would waver at times, but the remembrance of who God is and what God has done in their life would strengthen their faith. It would give fuel to their faith. It would ignite their faith so that they could do what God called them to do. We know, and you know, that the people of Israel, they're such a prime example of really all of humanity. As we watch the wanderings and the following God's commands and then being self-reliant, right? The back and forth that they always have is so often how many of us live our life. We have God work in our life in certain times and seasons, and then we stray away and we get in our own flesh and our own power, and we fail to remember, no, I need to be reliant on God and trusting God for who he is. But Joshua here set this memorial as a place of remembrance, to strengthen their faith, to remind who the God is that they serve. And so they have this memorial here to ignite, to strengthen their faith. Then secondly, I'll say this, strong faith leads us to be able to obey God's instructions. And so you have the remembrance, which is then going to strengthen their faith. I remember, God's been good. I can trust him. And then when we can trust God and we have confidence in God, we can take a step of obedience when he asks us to do that. Look in the next chapter, in chapter 5, verse number 2. At that time, the Lord said unto Joshua, make these sharp knives and circumcise again the children of Israel a second time. And Joshua made him sharp knives and circumcised the children of Israel at the hill of the foreskins. And this is the cause why Joshua did circumcise. All the people that came out of Egypt that were males, even all the men of war, died in the wilderness by the way after they came out of Egypt. Now all the people that came out were circumcised, but all that had been born in the wilderness by the way as they came forth out of Egypt, them had not been circumcised. This is a big ask, and we know circumcision was a big deal to God as a marking, as a covenant of his people. But the people, when they were in Egypt, they were circumcised. When they were in the wilderness, they had not had this done. Now, we know from history and from Scripture, it tells us the ideal time, the time when they would normally circumcise a young Jewish boy was how many days old? 8 days old is the time. And outside of 8 days old, I don't know if there's an ideal time to circumcise somebody. But I do know there's a not ideal time. And can I tell you the worst time probably